You are watching the Sabah show. Keep it locked right here on Horizon TV. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban. Welcome back to Tech Tuesday with me, your host Yusuf Farah. Now it is time to talk matters technology. Now get this, artificial intelligence has by far gone a long way in getting the work done. From simple warehouses to all the way down to simple robotics, we have seen major leaps as far as getting the work done efficiently and in a timely manner is concerned. Now on Tech Tuesday today, we want to dive into a project by STEMtrix, an organization that deals with STEM, and we see a project that is concerning robotics. And with me in studio today, I have Christine Onyango, the director of STEMtrix, and I have Joshua Mushimi, director of Taji Schools. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
You guys are well?
Very well, thanks.
You ready to teach us robotics?
Sure.
Precisely.
All right, let's get into it now. I'll start with you, Christine. Please introduce us to STEMtrix.
Okay, so STEMtrix is a company that has been operating in Kenya for 2-3 years now. And our main aim is to promote robotics through one, training, and then the other thing is we also run international robotics competitions called First Lego League. So we have them each year in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And Kenya has been our hub since 2015 when we launched the robotics. Yeah, so that's in a nutshell, that's what STEMtrix does.
Okay. Joshua, would you like to add more information on that?
I'll just talk from a Taji School point of view.
Okay.
All right. So I come from a school called Taji School. We are based in here in Nairobi, in an area called Buruburu.
Yeah.
We have also come out to Machakos County. So we also have a center that we have set up 1 year ago in Machakos County.
Okay.
All right. And we are highly privileged to have partnered with STEMtrix in the robotics aspect, because as Taji School we believe in empowering children and being able to nurture their giftings early enough from a very early age.
Okay.
Our school currently has, we are 7 years old, all right, and we have a class until grade 4. So our oldest children now are around 8-9 years old. But then what we believe in Taji School is to be able to empower children early enough for them to be able to find their giftings early enough, and hence the partnership with STEMtrix, which we have had a very, very solid partnership in the last 1 year. Okay. And we've seen enormous opportunities to expose our children to technology.
And in terms of exposing your children, they've been able to understand the whole STEM project and make robots.
By and by, learning is a journey. So for us, what we are seeing is one is to just teach the learners and expose them, and then the giftings that they already have within them will come out from them. So we are seeing in the last 1 year, we've seen enormous growth. We've seen a lot of hunger from the children because they are hungry to build things, and they're hungry with creativity. Okay. And it's amazing to see them in class. And I keep laughing because half an hour before STEMtrix comes in, they're already asking, where is Christine? We want to start working on these robots. So it's very encouraging to see that the children are really hungry to be able to produce that which they have on the inside of them and make a difference in society.
Okay, so Christine, talk to me about some of the projects that you guys do under STEMtrix.
Okay, so our major project is basically robotics. And by robotics, I mean one, designing things from scratch, programming, and working on projects. So with the first Lego League tournament, because that's our main forum of airing STEM and robotics, we allow students 6 to 16 years to build robots from scratch, so based on a certain theme, to program them, and also to showcase what it is that they've learned through a project. So it's like a celebration. They have 1 year of learning, and we now celebrate them on one given day, where they all come together as schools, and they showcase whatever it is that they've learned from scratch. That's the robot design that they've come up with the kind of programs that they've downloaded, and the kind of project that they've worked on. So what that means is students are given a theme that is global, so it's not only in Kenya or East Africa. So it's one theme that more than 90 countries partake in, and they design their own robot to solve a certain challenge.
Okay.
Yeah. So right now we are working on a city shaper. So how best can we shape our cities? How best can we improve our cities in terms of sanitation, transportation, better housing? How do we design our houses to withstand things like earthquakes, and have them conducive enough for human life? Yeah. So kids will have the opportunity to then focus more on how to design a better home where they would like to live in, a better environment, looking at all those factors, and they have to showcase that through a robot and through a project. So they get to choose only one problem that they would like to solve and expound on it as a team. So we are not working with an individual student, we are working with them as a group. So for kids between 6 and 9 years, they get to work in a group of 6, and kids between 10 and 16 get to work in a group of 10. So once they built a robot and worked on a poster, we call it a show me poster, to showcase their project that they've worked on, we also look at core values. So core values are just 21st century skills, and we look at the level of teamwork, respect that they have for each other, the level of understanding and coordination, how do they problem solve when they're faced with a challenge, and how do they decide on things to work on as a team. Because remember, it's a group of 6 to 10 students, but then only one project. So how do the 10 get to come up and settle on one project and work with it as a team and understand the whole concept? That is one thing that we look at. And then we also look at friendly competition, because yes, they are going to meet other schools and other teams, but do they respect them enough? Are they willing to support other teams and other schools that could be experiencing a problem? The solutions are totally student-led, so even the teachers are not allowed to help out in those activities, especially when it comes to now hands-on building and writing of the projects and all that. So it's totally student-led, where the students come up with their own solutions, they identify their own problems, they do the research, they build their own robots, they program their own robots. But then the work of the teacher then comes where they support the students. So they can help them identify people with authority, those that they can go and seek out more information from, professionals. They can also give guidance on what books to read, places to visit in line with the season's challenge and theme. So they build onto their knowledge. So the main aim is to have a child who thinks critically, a child who is able to problem solve, a child who is able to work with other people and embrace the difference, because they are all gifted differently. There are those who are very good with building, they're very techy. There are those who are very good with presentational skills. Others are very good with coding, computing, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So bringing these kids together and having them work on one agenda is something very interesting.
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned the friendly competition part, because now I have a question for Mr. Joshua. Forgive me for calling you Mr. Joshua, because now I always have this feeling of calling teachers Mr. So Mr.
Fine.
Joshua,
yes.
Talking about friendly competition, how best do you train your students to know that yes, we are in a competition, but we're doing it friendly? It's not like a cutthroat competition where we're going in for the kill or something.
Yeah. Thanks, Yusuf. As you may know, now that we've a bit gotten more exposed to CBC with the new curriculum that has already been enrolled. One of the key competencies is communication and collaboration. And that's one of the intrinsic values that we want to bring out of children, to know that yes, we need to be competitive, but then in society, for us to be able to be progressive, then we have to collaborate with one another, all right? So as Christine has mentioned, one of the things that we bring out in robotics is to be able to work together as teams. Yes, we need to be able to get to the place where we are competing against one another and showing our strengths vis-a-vis my colleague, but then at the end of the day, it is the collaboration that brings a better result for us. Okay. So we put them in teams and we help them to think together creatively, to be able to build, and everyone brings an idea. So as teachers, one of our greatest achievement that we feel we want to achieve is to be able to create an environment where the learners are learning to learn. We are exposing them to the tools that we have been provided to by STEM tricks, but then we help them to be able to think differently. So if I have a creative idea on how to build a pulley, for example, and you as Yusuf have a different idea, then how can we bring these two ideas to be able to solve a solution in our environment? So that is a quality that we bring. So we teach them, yes, it's good to be competitive, it's good to try and push yourself against your peer, but then again, that collective bringing together of ideas makes us have a win-win situation where we're both winners in our own strength and in our own capacities.
Okay, now Christine, say I've just come to your offices inquiring about this competition. So walk me through the process from identifying this is what we want to build all the way to actually achieving tangible results.
Okay, so first it has to be, one, the age of the children. That's the number one criteria. So kids are grouped based on the age. So 6 to 9 will be working on a junior league. So junior league, that means they have their own theme and they have their own materials appropriate for their age. And then the other thing, once we've identified, we've grouped them in age, we now look at the materials that they'll be using. So one key material that we use is called WeDo. We now have an upgrade to WeDo 2.0. That's the current version that kids have to use. And then an introduction to the teachers. So we introduce the teachers to what exactly the kids will be doing. So they also know and are familiar with the concept, the whole activity of programming and how to get on a hands-on kind of building. So we take them through training normally, and we now send them back to their schools, having known that they'll be working with a certain number of students, a certain product, and they fully understand how the product works. And then once that's done, we give them a time frame to now train the students and now to then register for the program. So that's basically how the whole concept works.
Okay, and how long does the process normally take?
So the process normally begin in September, because that's like our Kenyan calendar. The international launch normally happens on 1st of August. But during August in Kenya, it's all schools are off. It's holiday season. So our season in Kenya begins in September, all through March. So it's normally a very short time frame, but a very busy timing for the schools and the students. Yeah, so between September and March when we're having our tournaments.
And is the time frame enough to complete the whole project?
Yes, it is enough, because students need more or less 3 months to be able to put everything together. Okay. So if we look at September, October, then we have January, February, because I'm not going to count November and December because of exams within our public school. So we have September, October, and January and February for them to prepare. But we also now trying to strategize and have them prepared early enough from January, so they know, for the schools that have been taking part, they know once we finish our season in March, they begin the next season in April. So the training is continuous. So you'll find out that the cycle is it's never interrupted. So once they're completed with the March event, in April there's holiday, then May they continue with the trainings. So the students are kept, motivated, and they know, they understand the programming better and deeper, and they also come up with different solutions apart from just the theme.
Definitely a better explanation of the whole process where children are brought in from the first initial stage all the way to actually making things tangible. Now, on that note, we'll take a quick short break, but when we come back, more information from Joshua and Christine on the Lego League project. Don't go too far. You are watching Tech Tuesday. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban. You are watching the Sabah show. Keep it locked right here on Horizon TV.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation. Rasulullah, Rasulullah.
Akawa Abdul Muttalib ampenda sana Mtume sallam hata kushinda watoto wake. Na Abdul Muttalib, Mtume Muhammad sallam alikuwa ni mjukuu wake. Abu Talib na babake Mtume sallam dimba ndugu, tumbo moja, mama moja, baba moja. Baada ya miaka miwili Abdul Muttalib kufa, alipofika miaka 10 wakaamua kufunga safari kwenda Sham, kwenda kufanya biashara. Faqala rahib, huyu mtoto akifika akionekana dola ya Rum watamuua. Akaamua kurudi kuweza kuishi katika mji wa Makka kwa mara nyingine.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban. You are watching the Sabah show. Keep it locked right here on Horizon TV. Welcome back to Tech Tuesday with me, your host Yusuf Farah. Now, before we went on the break, we had this in mind that we wanted explanation about, and Christine is going to do that for us. The Lego League robotics competition, what is it all about?
Okay, so first, Lego League competitions are exciting and fun competitions for children.
Yes.
And they are meant to inspire kids in STEM. So STEM is basically science, technology, engineering, and math. And we want our children to, find it easy and feel motivated that whatever little achievement they make is worth it. And it's also worth celebrating. So it's basically a competition that enhances children's learning, but when we are meeting together during now the expos and the competition, it's basically to just celebrate the work that the children have been doing over the said period of time, because the minimum amount of time that they spend is 3 months. So 3 months is a long time for children to work on the project and then core values and robot and so on and so forth. So when they come together and they're awarded the certificates and they get the medals, and they have adult coaches and professionals cheering at them and saying you've done a good job. It makes them feel appreciated. They feel like the work that they've done is is amazing. And since we do not look at, you know, a child having done right, or, you know, the robot wasn't properly done, we look at every step they've made. So no matter how the design looks like, it came from them, so we appreciate it. No matter how the project looks like, it is their work. We appreciate whatever it is that they've done. So it's basically a competition geared towards celebrating the work that the children have done over the months.
All right, Mr. Joshua, I understand that your school is participating in this competition for the first time.
For the very first time in 2020.
All right, yes. What are your expectations?
Expectations are high from a school perspective, and especially the children are super excited. Okay. I think we've had the privilege since we began in January, working this journey with STEMtrix, to expose our children to different opportunities when it comes to how and what they should expect from the campaign and from the competition that will happen next year in 2020. And so what we've done in small paces is to expose the children with other children from other schools who've been there before us, just to get to see what's the level of competitiveness that is there, and what is the quality of work that they should expect to be competing against come 2020. So our theme that we are preparing for in 2020 is building and construction. So it's about architecture, it's about all forms and modes of engineering, from civil and electric engineering. Okay, so the children are super excited. So what we've had the privilege to have with our children in Sturgis School is to go to other schools and just be able to see models of what has been done in previous years. And what I like about it is that children are very interesting. When you put them in such an environment where you'd expect them to be competing and showing off, the reverse is actually true. They actually try to help each other. So the children who've been there before, the older ones who are more mature, would want to help the younger ones to just understand what they're building. So that you'll find children who are younger, who have not yet gotten to the stage where they work with robotics. They're curious to know. And the older ones are willing to really show them how it all works. So that collaboration really is very exciting for me as one who is in the teaching industry. That is very, very nice. Okay. So what we are doing at the moment, even as we gear up for 2020, is to also expose our children to the real environment where the rubber meets the road. So how does what I'm doing now with just simple blocks and Lego blocks, how can it be reflected in the real world? So this week, for instance, we are getting our children to meet with lecturers from a university, a local university, just to understand what is it that what I'm doing now in class, in my Lego robotics club, feel like in the real world. How does what are the things that I need to consider when I'm building and constructing a house or designing a house? And that is really nice, because when they start to work from a Lego robotics platform, they work with the end in mind. They know how that impacts the real world out there. And for us, it's very exciting. We are really looking forward to 2020 and see what the children are going to be able to build.
All right, let us talk about child safety.
Yes.
As far as making this robotics and participating in the competition is concerned. Christine, as an organization that deals with this, you've been in the industry for what now, 4 years? How do you ensure the safety of a child when they are doing the thing? Because we know children, they can be clumsy at times. Even we adults sometimes can be clumsy. And we're talking about robots, gadgets that use electricity and stuff.
Well, okay, so good thing is first, and the whole Lego group has thought this through really well. So one is the product is child friendly. So the cables are well protected. So you won't find loose cables and loose wires. Everything is well insulated, so you won't have kids being electrocuted. So that's one. And then the other thing is the products are also age appropriate. So they have been made specifically for the age groups that they need to work with. So you'll find that for the 6 to 10, the Smart Hub allows the children to be able to connect the cables freely, and also the components are very good for their motor skills, and well built for that age group. So you want to find you might have a few who might try to chew and all that, but good thing is the way they've been made, you can't bite it all through. So you won't find kids swallowing some of the products. But with the cables, totally insulated, everything is well inbuilt.
Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe Joshua, to answer this, how important is it to introduce STEM to young children growing up? Because as many people are of the opinion is that we are in a digital generation and the future is technology. So how important is it to start from the grassroots levels?
Children are very creative, Yusuf, and they're very open to ideas. And like Christine alluded earlier on, what we are trying to teach our children now is that there's no right or wrong answer when it comes to creativity.
Okay.
You can be as creative as you want to be. You can use your mind to think on how to build whatever it is that you have thought about, all right? What we really try to help them understand is that you just need to find a solution that needs to be relevant to the society. Mm-hmm. Do you see a problem that you have in the society? And how can you find a solution? And then just expose them to be able to build and prepare whatever it is that you feel can be able to solve a problem that we have in a current situation. Mm-hmm. And those are the core values that we want to bring to our children as well. So, so age is not a limitation. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have material that starts all the way from a grade 1. So we are talking about 6-year-olds who are able to build. So we take it from step to step, and we keep making it a bit more complex as they become older. So we introduce them to very simple Legos that they can be able to play with and just have them prepare what it is. Of course, there are manuals that help them to guide them, just to know, okay, I'm building a house, these are the basic things I need to. And then from there, just let their creativity flow from there. The thing I also just love about it is that even as we are giving them manuals to just be a guide, not really to be able to show them what to do, but to just guide them, certain principles come into play. So as they're making a pulley for the slightly older ones, you can introduce certain concepts that are scientific. So they will get to see a concept and how a pulley will work without knowing what the concept is. But now when the teacher steps in just to help them understand what that concept is, then it lights a light bulb in their minds, because now they get to understand, because they have practically been able to work with it and see how it works. So age really is not a limiting factor. I think it's actually to their advantage that they get to interact with these things early enough. Mm-hmm. Yes,
Christine, you can add on the same.
Yeah, so with age, they start with the basics. So the most important part is having a challenge that is within the kids' reach, not too far-fetched and not too low, because kids also get bored really fast. Mm-hmm. So if you give them the very basic ones every now and then, it won't be challenging enough. So you have to get age-appropriate materials for the children. And when they're starting off, it starts with the basics. So they have a kit, a Lego box. For example, with the WeDo, the software has manuals on how to build, how to program, all that kind of stuff. Once they now know the basics of building, connecting, putting things together, they now take it further to prompting them. What else can you do? Yeah. So what else can you build using the same kit, the same resources, without a manual? So that way you're already tinkering something in their mind. So if they built a car, for example, with 4 wheels, they can decide to build a car with a different wheel that will be able to function the same way, and they'll be like, oh, aha, so this is actually working, and it could be working better than the one that had a manual. So that's the kind of thinking and the kind of exposure you want kids to have. As they grow older, the challenge also grows with them. So there's now more deep programming, there's now more deep research needed from them. They now have a leeway to explore, because with the first competitions, especially the first Lego League, because we have the first Lego League Junior and first Lego League. So with the first Lego League, they tend to solve as many missions as possible. Yeah. So they have a mat, they're given a mat, and the mat has different missions with them. So missions are basically just challenges that they need to solve. So for example, you need to create a robot that has a big arm that will collect something and take it somewhere. So that kind of creativity, because that has no manual, so they have to do it from scratch. It kinds of give them the opportunity to be creative, explore, and come up with their own ways, own unique ways of solving that one problem. So during the competition, you'll find that it is one theme, one competition, same missions, but robots are totally different.
Okay, so it's all about a matter of how creative
yes,
they can
how
be and
creative
play around the robots. All right, a very informative there from Christine. Now, on that note, we are going to take another break. Now, we have talked about this, but what better way to understand this better than a demo? And that will be here after the break. Don't go too far. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban. You are watching the Sabah show. Keep it locked right here on Horizon TV.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Akawa Abdul Muttalib ampenda sana Mtume sallam hata kushinda watoto wake. Na Abdul Muttalib, Mtume Muhammad sallam alikuwa ni mjukuu wake. Abu Talib na babake Mtume sallam dimba ndugu, tumbo moja, mama moja, baba moja. Baada ya miaka miwili Abdul Muttalib kufa, alipofika miaka 10, wakaamua kufunga safari kwenda Sham, kwenda kufanya biashara. Faqala rahib, huyu mtoto akifika akionekana dola ya Rum watamuua. Akaamua kurudi kuweza kuishi katika mji wa Makka kwa mara nyingine.
تبارك الذي نزل الفرقان على عبده ليكون للعالمين نذيرا.
Ni kitabu kitukufu.
Qur'ani ni kitabu ambacho cha miujiza
kilichoteremshwa kwa mpangilio.
Hazikuletwa harufu hizi za mkato moja kwa moja.
Hakuna mfano wake.
Na hamwezi nyinyi Makureishi kuwa ni wenye kutunga kitabu kama hiki, ingawa zimetumia harufu zile ambazo zimezitumia katika kuandika au katika kusema.
Miujiza yake Al-Malik.
Mwenyezi Mungu ana uwezo usiokuwa na kifano.
Ni malengo ya Qur'an.
Khazain zote za ardhi na samawati ziko mikononi mwake.
Sheikh Muhammad Badamana na uchambuzi wa Qur'an kwa undani kila Alhamisi saa 3 usiku kwenye Horizon TV.
Abu Najma with kids. We learn Qur'an. We learn Qur'an. We learn Qur'an. We learn Qur'an. We learn hadith. We learn hadith. We learn hadith. We learn hadith. We learn the du'as. We learn the du'as. We learn the du'as. We learn the du'as. We love a prophet. We love a prophet. We love a prophet. We love a prophet. Abu Najma with kids. Abu Najma with kids. We learn Qur'an. We learn Qur'an. We learn Qur'an. We learn Qur'an. We learn hadith.
Messenger of Allah said, whoever says when the morning comes, رضيت بالله ربا وبالإسلام دينا وبمحمد نبيا, meaning, I am pleased with Allah as the Lord and with Islam as a religion and with Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam as a prophet. Then I am the guarantor that I will take him by his hand until I put him into Jannah.
Healthy Thursday is not just about diseases. It's about food, lifestyle, milestones in the medical practitioner's field, especially in our Muslim Ummah, and more so, your health. Discover breakthroughs and milestones in the medical field. Learn how to manage diseases.
That was not painful.
Join the discussion. Make better decisions on your meal plans. Improve your lifestyle.
All the doctors who are there were tired of working in maternity and taking care of women. And they say, you are the new kid on the block. We are leaving this department to you.
Healthy Thursday is about you, about your family, your lifestyle. So keep it locked Horizon TV on Healthy Thursday with me, Maria Mwacharo.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban. You are watching the Sabah show. Keep it locked right here on Horizon TV. Welcome to the last and final segment of Tech Tuesday with me, your host Yusuf Farana. If you can take a look at my set, I have an addition to the panel list, a gentleman named Nation from STEMtrix as well, who is going to be explaining and showing us a demo as far as the Lego League is concerned. So, Nation, please take it away.
Yes, thank you for the
Bring it to
opportunity.
the close, yes.
So, on the Lego League, we always have different categories. So we have the core values, which has already been explained. Then there are the robotic games, where now the children learn to deal with the robots and how they build the robots on themselves. Then at least try to solve different problems depending on how they've configured their robots and they can build. As with me here, I have two robots that have already been built. So I'll try to dismantle this one to show you how it comes, so that at least you can understand where it comes from. So you have this, there's the head, and then they have different blocks that come with the kit. So let me show you one of the blocks here. So this is one of the blocks. So the children can, or the kids can always build depending on their configuration. So they just combine this. This is like the brain that drives the robots. Then we have here different motors. But the good thing, we also have sensors like this connected here, which can also be used to detect different things. Because in the current world, sensors are the major thing, because we need them to feel, need robots to feel, we need robots to act. So like in this case, we have motors which help in acting. Then you have sensors which also help in sensing the environment and doing different things. So on this, we have different parts of the robot which can always be built depending on the kids' feel and their creativity. So the robot games will not be chosen or be dictated for the kids, but they always have challenges to solve. How they solve the challenges will depend on their creativity and the time they have to practice, because the major issue is just to improve on the creativity of the kids and to ensure that they're always up to the task in the STEM and building of different parts of the world, because we have same challenges but different configurations. So the robots are always programmed with, again, by the kids or themselves, with the guide of a tutor or the teacher in charge. So I'll try to program one of the robots so that you can see how beneficial the robot can be to the real world, and at least transforming the real world situation to the robotics world, so that at least you can transform the robots to solve your real world field. So this, I have a robot that is already built, and here we have a sensor. This is called distance sensor or ultrasonic sensor, depending on different configuration, because there are some areas where they just ultrasonic sensors, but in this case we have distance sensor. We're trying to simplify it for the kids, and the robots are always simple, because this acting as the brain, any kid can always use this and just plug and play, because you have just different cables. On this cable, this is one of the cables used, is well protected and cannot be mishandled or be broken easily by the kids. So at least they can always ensure that they're safe when dealing with electricity or any other power source.
Okay.
So here I'll just try to program the robot so that it can stop whenever an object is around 20 centimeters away from it. So you'll see how simple and easy it will be to program it, but sometimes it gets a bit complex depending on the tasks you want to do. So it will always depend on the age group and the tasks the kids want to do. So they can always advance. Apart from just performing the tasks, they can always try to advance their skills and always improve in the problems they can solve in the real world and in the robotic world. So so after programming, you have these cables just to connect it, and there's so many other ways to connect it.
I'll assist you with this. Boom, it's connected.
So you'll have it connected, then now you can now try and test. So it will.
Okay. So it's climbing.
So there's a problem on the. Yes. So they always have different ports. So our problem was majorly on different ports where you connect your sensors. So that also matters, because on the robots they always depend on your connections and how you connect your items. So let's try and see. So it will now stop exactly after.
What is making it stop?
So what makes it stop here is on the, like I said, this is a distance sensor.
Yeah.
We always have different sensors. We have gyro sensor that can detect elevations and changes in heights, or changes in deviations in the height of the robot, or even just tilts. Then we have color sensor that detects colors or light.
Okay.
It can detect ambient light or the lights in the room, like artificial light, that is. So on this, the distance sensor will detect how far the robot is from an obstacle. So it can always act depending on the distance. So in this case, I've programmed it to stop 10 centimeters away from the obstacle.
Okay.
So it will always stop 10 centimeters away from the obstacle. So let's assume there are cars. Currently, we have self-driving cars. And this is a critical point to introducing such technology to the kids.
Okay.
Because they always can always tell them their car can always stop maybe 10 centimeters or maybe 100 centimeters away from an obstacle, which might be a person or even just a building before a car hits the building. So can introduce such complex technology to kids using such simple robots.
Okay.
So it will always stop 10 centimeters. Let's try and see if.
Let me try.
You can try and see.
Can be the obstacle now. I hope I don't get knocked down. Whoa.
So that can always be changed in a simple change of program. You can only change the distance that it stops. So
I'm sure my producer would love to do this, but we'll do it after the show.
Yes. So on the colors, you can always detect which colors. Maybe the stop signs are like, for example, of the self-driving cars. On the stop signs, they probably will be the same color, so you can detect the color you're supposed to stop at, depending on that. Then you have the gyro. You can always detect how far maybe a phone tilts or even a car tilts. If there's a fall, they can always detect that. So it's a very intuitive way of introducing complex items or technological parts to kids, and they're always easier to build because this can only be built in maybe 10 or 30 minutes, depending on the speed of the kids and how advanced they are. And they can also configure them to their own liking.
So if I was to use this technology, it would be best used, for example, maybe when I'm using a self-driven car or something, because if I'm in traffic and it can sense an obstacle, it stops.
Yes, there are so many. That was just an example, but we still have other technologies which you need to stop or actually act depending on the distance. Let's take, for example, in manufacturing, we also have goods moving depending on maybe a conveyor belt. So some actions will always be done when a good is maybe 10 centimeters away from a different machine. So they can also be picked depending on where the goods are. So you can always use distance to detect how the goods move in the conveyor belt. And you can always use color to actually detect which good you are dealing with, because some of the goods will always be differentiated depending on color. So we also have in the program, we also have other programs that teaches on color sorting. So where you can sort the Lego, these blocks are always differentiated in color. So you can sort the blocks using color, with using the color sensor. So that can always teach the kids such technology.
All right, very informative right there. Now, this is definitely technology that we need to embrace, and I'll definitely come for lessons later, because it was amazing the fact that I can just put my hand and the car comes to a sudden stop. So as far as technology and the Lego League is concerned, let me get a quick parting shot from you, Mr. Joshua, and Christine before we finish the show.
All right, thank you, Yusuf. So I think my parting shot would be very simple. What we believe in Taji School is transforming future generations one child at a time. And I believe this is an awesome tool to be able to help the next generation and influence the next generation just from one child at a time, exposing children to very simple technology, but which can be very transformative when it comes to how we handle things in our society, from traffic like we saw here in the demo in Nahashon, to manufacturing, and this can be used and applied in very different forms of our society. So this is for us as a school, and I would advocate it for many other schools to be able to reach out and find how they can be able to expose their children to these forms of technology, which I think will be awesome in building the next generation for our children.
Okay, Christine.
Yeah, so for me, every child is worth celebrating. So be it public, private, children's home, we all welcome them. We have schools that support children's home, like International School of Kenya, that we've worked with for the past 4-5 years, and each time they blend their children with the kids from Children's Garden, that's a children's home, to also partake in this, so they learn together as a team. when we look at the core values, those are some of the things that we're looking at. How can you support, the next person and the next person? And this is a better opportunity to give them the room to showcase their creativity and, their problem-solving skills, by giving them that opportunity to do it and to come and showcase it to the adults who are normally their judges, and we celebrate them together.
Okay. It wouldn't be fair to leave without getting the parting shot from Nation, who brought this. So Nation, please, your parting shot.
Okay, on the robots or on STEM is the future of the next generation, or our generation has benefited a lot in the STEM industry. So like someone was telling me, if you imagine in 1919, if someone showed you a tablet or a phone that we use currently, it would be like magic or witchcraft. So in the same way, in 2019, we'll have totally different technology, and probably this the current generation to spearhead the technology. So it's better to introduce them to the new technology or the current technology, so that they can at least build on it and develop it further. So I think every kid should be introduced to the technology as early as possible.
Okay, information right there from the tech gurus themselves, saying it is time to introduce our kids to STEM, and from Mr. Joshua there, who said we can transform the lives of our children one at a time. Now on that note, we have come to the end of the show today. From my technical team in the studio with me today, who are helping me with the shoot, from my producer Isam Tama, my sound guy Muhammad Utoyi with his assistant Nasir and Saida Aboud, and the entire Horizon TV team, and from me, your host Yusufar, as always, it is not goodbye, it is till we meet again. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban. You are watching the Sabah show. Keep it locked right here on Horizon TV.
Bye.